This good ass content, yo, bro.
What happened on the
I
White
want to
House
see,
Twitter?
bro. They posted clips of them bombing people, bro. Like they posted actual clips and making it kind of like a TikTok. They'll add some like little like I don't know. Let's say a general saying something mad brave in a press conference,
Yeah.
or they clipping up the actual bombings that they doing in Iran and posting it on Twitter, bro. Like a highlight
No
reel.
way.
Like
No
you
way.
had your huddle. Like before we was in high school, we had our huddle. You feel me? We would post a highlight film, send it to coaches, bro.
Yeah.
That's what they doing, bro. They posting real film of them bombing people, bro. Yo, they is
Yo.
violent, bro. I don't
He
know
said I really
what
got
they on.
highlights.
I got like, yo, bro, like 5 stars, number one recruit of the nation. Like they really acting like they making a press conference around this, bro. They're crazy.
That's actually wild. And I'm definitely not laughing at everyone, but it's just funny how like unrealistic this is. Just it's just crazy, bro. You can't make this stuff up. It's like we live in a movie, bro.
Bro, this is literally like I don't even know what kind of movie this is. I don't even know what to call it, bro. But now I'm rich. We ain't laughing at you, but we gotta laugh because this is preposterous. I ain't never
Yeah.
seen something like this, boy.
Nah, for real, if you don't, man, this thing it'll take you out how serious all this stuff really is, man. It's crazy.
Crazy, bro. This man is really moving like the original. Like people talk about the Chicago rapper. What's his name? He passed away a while back. Rest in peace. Lil
LA
Jeff,
Capone?
Lil Jeff,
Oh,
or
okay.
L.A. Capone, bro. Even the old ones, L.A. Capone, he moving like the original Rondo #9. Remember when Rondo posted the rocket launcher on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how the White House moving right now, bro. They really acting like
Right.
Rondo, man. Free Rondo. Sure.
Yeah, it's crazy out here, man. Oh my God. But hey, fam, if you know someone that's in the military, definitely get your prayers up for them. We hoping everything goes well. We hoping that there is some type of peace at the end of it all. Just I'm hoping that something good comes from it. War is never something that we want to hear, but hoping that there is a greater good at the end of it. But that's what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna talk about gas prices, war, AI, and also just the ultimate 2026 wealth survival guide, right? What do you need as far as information in order to be successful from here on out, right? Now, we already know, bro, gas is spiking. Other day, I usually did my gas from BJ's, right? The gas usually probably like 250. I got the BJ membership real low. It was great. Other day, it was like 306. I'm like, damn, that's starting to add up. So it's real. You know what I'm saying? No matter what anybody think, this is just we live in the matrix, this and that, bro. I don't want to hear none of that. We live in it right now. We were feeling the effects of it. So gas is definitely spiking. The market is swinging. We're in these crazy ass channels. Some days we're up 1%. Some days we're down 2%. And we're actually starting to like slowly get lower and lower, even though it looks like we're in some type of consolidation phase. So that's happening. And then also the headlines that we see every single day just becomes more and more terrifying. You know, before it was just us bombing Iran, Iran bombing us. Now you don't know if China's going to jump into it because the certain ports is closed and it's actually causing certain types of bottlenecks as far as like oil and different um, production. It's getting a little scary out there, family. But at the same exact time, we always say, do not panic. All right? Because if you panic, that doesn't pay the bills no matter what. So you gotta be cool headed. You gotta know exactly what to do and what is the real information out there, so that way you can at least capitalize or make sure that you're staying safe and having a clear mind. Now, as always, family, the mission is to decode the system. Think Gen Wealth is here to ensure that the community isn't left behind. So when the economy shifts, that understanding the global moves is what's most important no matter what. All right. So the key is just to build real financial literacy, right? Even if you don't take anything from this and you don't invest into any stocks, if you don't do anything with, your 401k, I just want to make sure that everyone out there is financially literate, because at the same as that time, if you're not going to really know how to control your own situation. So super important that you at least have that part down pat. All right. And other than that, that's really it, bro. I don't know if you got anything to say on that, but you know,
Yeah, bro. I mean, you hit on the head, bro. You know, there's a lot of volatility going on, a lot of things we're gonna talk about today that's really affecting people's confidence as financially and just as a consumer overall. You know, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. We're gonna talk about how that affects the market as well. But you know, we got our money mindset moment just to really kind of bring clarity to all the uncertainty to help y'all out. For money mindset moment today, our quote is: "My financial peace is louder than the market's panic. I am building a portfolio that outlasts the noise." Feel me? And that's really going back to what Wolf was talking about. That's the base right there, y'all. You feel me? The market is always going to have a panic. You know, either it's the Iran stuff going on now, oil. You know, just a few years ago, it was Liberation Day last year. Okay, a couple of years before that, in 2022, we had a trade war. We had the things in Ukraine. There's always going to be something, but you have to have a foundation where you're building for the long term, ignoring the noise. You feel me?
exactly. It's a fact,
Now,
bro.
also, yeah, bro. Then also a disclaimer, you too. You know, at the end of the day, this is not financial advice. We're just giving y'all what we see online and what we do our research on. We do advise you to talk to a licensed financial advisor before making any financial decisions. This is all just content, entertainment purposes only. But let's get into it, man.
Yeah.
Boom. You know, first thing we want to get into is obviously what's going on. Everybody's talking about the news, is Iran and what's going on with oil and how they connect to each other. For y'all that don't know, if y'all been under a rock for a bit, we recently been conducting military operations out in Iran. And for purposes why, it kind of varies, you know, based on the news and outlets and everything coming from the White House. These attacks have been due to Iran, pretend not Biden to well, not Biden, but pretty much we're not getting a deal done when it comes to building nuclear weapons. We've been doing this with Iran forever, ever since Obama, Biden, etc. We don't want them to have nuclear weapons. And there was recently a lot of talks throughout the past beginning of this year that essentially fell through when it comes to making another deal to make sure they don't build nukes. So after that fell through, and a lot of those things that we've been seeing on the news with Iran doing a lot of crazy things to their citizens, yeah, the White House said, yeah, we slotted. Feel me? We slotted. We coming for vengeance. So you know, a lot of attacks have been happening and so on. And that's just based off of what we have. You know, there's a lot of different perceptions as well. People may think about the strategic side of things, with having control of the Strait of Hormuz. People may say other things, but based on what we're seeing, that's the main basis behind why we did these attacks and these organized military operations. But okay, how does that really affect us? For me, well, the biggest thing with Iran is they control essentially the most important pathway out of the world when it comes to oil, and that's called the Strait of Hormuz. You feel me? This little strait where most of 20% of the carriers of all the oil in the world pretty much go. You feel me? And the biggest thing about Iran right now, it hasn't been officially confirmed, but nobody's going through that no more because Iran and obviously the attacks that we've done on them and them attacking the surrounding countries around them, it makes the Strait of Hormuz very hard to navigate, especially with Iran acting hostile. So what's happened is carriers have stopped going through it. They're like, nah, we're not. I ain't want no smoke with none of this. Even with
Mm-hmm.
the president saying that you know we'll actually have naval ships come and guide carriers through, the carriers are still saying, nah, this is not worth it. You know what I'm saying? So we essentially have a bunch of carriers that's sitting on both sides of the strait, not moving at all. So it's stalling 20% of the world's global oil production. And it's actually gotten so bad to a point where actually Kuwait, who is another major oil developer in the world, they have so much inventory of oil because they can't transport it. They're actually cutting production. So that's really bad as well because if you have that much inventory you can't move that you're cutting production of crude oil, that means there's a big bottleneck and oil is everything. You need oil for transporting, creating ships, oil is playing such a big factor in everything that you'll eventually just see the cost of everything going up, including what Wolf was talking about with gas. You know, we went from 290 to what, 320, bro, 315, he said. So you
Yeah, it
know
went from 250 to I was paying 250 BJ's and now it's at like 306. Wow.
exactly. Feel me? And that's only in a short amount of time. This conflict hasn't been even been going on for I would say longer than what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're seeing that also throughout the indexes that track oil. You feel me? So for y'all that don't know, there's a index for everything. There's an index for crops, for freaking what was that thing? Um, the market crashed for like some crop thing before back in the day. I forget what it was, but there's
Hmm.
a bunch of indexes that track everything, including crude oil. One of them is called the Brent, and that spiked past $90 the other day, $90 a barrel. And banks are saying that it could breach $100 a barrel if the disruption within the Strait of Hormuz continues. For me, and that's the big thing right now, with oil being such a big factor into honestly our whole economy when it comes to, especially with AI, our need for energy, but more importantly, manufacturing, distributing products across different countries. All this is starting with oil. So if that goes up, everything else goes up, including groceries, obviously gas, car prices, everything, because oil is our energy source that we use for everything. You feel me? So that's the big talk of the market right now. And on top of that, we got to think of how this could affect the market as well when it comes to the main thing pushing the stock market, and that's AI. You feel me? And how we need energy for AI, and that's also being a battle constraint with this oil stuff. So
Hmm.
it's getting wicked, man. It's getting wicked. But that's overall what's going on geopolitically and all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fact, bro. I mean, definitely the lesson is definitely to know that the commodity of oil is traded everywhere. So for example, like the UAE and all those different countries on that side, um, they use oil as a huge commodity for their economy, and they turn that into U.S. dollars. So that's another big thing. If like Dubai and those countries aren't making money, they're also not putting money into the stock market. And if they're not putting money into the stock market, which is huge, they're huge beneficiaries of the stock market. That's going to have an effect on the market as well. And also the Japan's economy. This is I had put this video in a group chat. Professor Jian or whatever his name is, he made some crazy predictions back in like 2024, and he made a prediction about Trump being president. He also made a prediction about them going to war with Iran. But the worst one was that he said that Iran was going to win the war. We didn't see that part play out, but it's crazy that already two of those predictions came true. And in his video, he was speaking about how Japan, 75% of their oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz, which is wild. And they said without that oil going through there, they'll probably run out of oil within like 2 to 3 weeks. So, and if that happens, we already know how big Japan's economy is, and how important it is to the U.S. economy because they're also huge beneficiaries of the U.S. stock market as well. So it's just a lot of different factors that can play into this really hurting us in the long run, if this continues. So it's super important to realize, like bro was saying, how important oil could be when it just comes to all the geopolitical stuff. So yeah, family, it's a huge domino effect. We got inflation, the market, we got oil wars, all of this stuff. It all plays into effect with each other. Now, oil is definitely everything, right? So when oil goes up, the cost to manufacture, ship, deliver, everything goes up. If I have a huge ship that I need to deliver stuff with and the ship moves off of oil, but oil is more expensive, now it costs more to produce you stuff because now I'm paying more out of pocket to even travel to go deliver you some type of products. It's the same with flights. If jet oil becomes more expensive, now it's more expensive for flights. Now the stocks become, now the stocks take a hit because more people aren't flying because it's too expensive to travel. You know what I'm saying, y'all? So it's just so many different effects that oil plays on everything. Look at your energy bill. Energy is already super expensive. You need oil to have energy, right? It's super cold outside, so everybody's using energy right now. So Everything just plays a huge factor into each other. Now, we also want to talk about like the inflation threat. Core inflation has been really stuck lately, right? Now, there's definitely been a sustained spike in energy costs that could also push up inflation, and it may force the Federal Reserve to keep interest rates elevated for a longer time. And the market does not like that. The market wants lower rates. We've been wanting that for a few years now, and we really haven't got it ever since COVID, right? We've learned how to live with it, but we don't want it to be sustained, right? Now, you need to also note that the stock market hates uncertainty. So the market is really good when we know what's going to happen, what the future beholds for us. But once it starts to be this uncertainty, we don't know what may happen tomorrow. We don't know what Trump may tweet. We don't know what Iran may do. That's when the market starts to, get out of riskier stuff like AI. They may start to go to the dividend stocks. They may start to move over to gold, silver, oil because oil is more valuable now. So that's definitely how you may see the market start to head towards if we see everything like this start to continue. And we saw major indexes take hits, right? As investors definitely feared the costs would eat up into corporate profits. Again, if oil is more expensive, it costs these companies more money for anything you could think of that oil may have an effect on. And if the corporations are paying more money, that means that their earnings aren't going to be as good because they're paying more money, which means that their profits are going to be lower and lower and lower. Right, fam? This all takes an effect on the stock market. So it's just really important to take all of this, put it all in one bunch, and realize that no matter what, oil is going to affect anything you do as far as investing and also your daily lives as well.
Absolutely. The interesting thing as well when it comes to the inflation threat that comes along with this, everything with the oil piece, and like you said, how it affects everything and it causing an impact for the earnings when it comes to these large companies is think of that also combined with the employment numbers we're getting from the government. You feel me? Because
Mm,
earlier last week, we also got the non-farm employment numbers, which is essentially how employment is doing from the private side. Are we adding jobs? Are we losing jobs? What's Microsoft doing with jobs? What's Amazon doing with jobs? What's these main company job providers doing as far as job placement, right? And we
right.
was expecting to add about 70,000 jobs, but instead we lost 92,000 jobs in February.
Mm,
For me, so with inflation as well, going back to your point when it comes to the companies and how this oil price increase can affect how they do and how their margins work, you also got to think about how the job market and high inflation with this oil change could affect what the feds do. Because remember, y'all, the feds are meant to control job market, control inflation. That's their dual mandate. Those are their two main jobs, right? And when you have an opportunity, not even opportunity, a headwind like this, where you got oil prices rising. With oil prices rising, everything rises. And then with that, obviously we have an intick up in inflation, either it be your CPI report, your PCE, whatever the case may be. But at the same time, your job market's falling apart. So if you cut rates, okay, job market could get better, but now inflation could tick up and that's going to be higher than what you like. Or let's say on the other hand, all right, they're going to hold rates or maybe even raise rates. Okay, inflation may come down and offset the oil prices, but now you're going to have everybody who don't got a job. And that's going to affect the global economy when it comes to spending. For me, so it's an interesting place. It's a real interesting place. And this is what a lot of people call the potential of stagflation. And that's essentially when the Federal Reserve is in a hard place. If they cut rates, job market could get better, but inflation could get worse. Or if they raise rates, hey, job market is going to fall apart, but inflation may be okay. But with oil now, it could be damned if you do, damned if you don't. You could cut
right.
rates and it's still ruin the job market because oil is causing such a heavy, more overhead spend for companies so they can't even focus on employment. Or if you don't, hey, now that you can still have 4 or 5%, 3% inflation because oil is still causing the problem, but the job market fall apart. So it's difficult. It's difficult, and I feel for the feds right now. I know Jerome about to get up out of there soon, but I would want to be
Hmm.
him right now.
Yeah, it's hard to find that happy medium, bro. It's like you said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a tough position to be in, man. I definitely wouldn't want bro job.
Ooh, word, bro. I ain't listen. I'll be a janitor. I'll be shout out to the janitors out there. Words. I'll be, I work at McDonald's, bro. I don't know. Nah, shout out to Jerome. You'll age 10 years in a month, bro. I can imagine, bro. It's
Yeah,
kind of like,
that's real talk.
yeah, bro. And that goes into our next point too, that could affect us all as well, is how this ties in with the current market sentiment with AI, right? Because for y'all that don't know, AI is literally like half of our GDP right now. We've hit record GDP growth. I think last year what we had 4.4%, which is crazy. We've been having
Hmm.
record GDP growth. But if you actually take away the piece of AI when it comes to, the investment into data centers and these partnerships that a lot of these companies are doing, GDP has actually been flat ever since the beginning of last year. So it's a big piece of the economy, is what I'm really trying to say. And we're kind of riding it as hard as possible. Pause. You feel me? So my big concern now is with my
I
fault,
tried to
my
hold it
fault.
together, bro. I tried to hold it together.
You know what I said that, bro. I said, damn, I had to say
Damn.
pause. That's wild, crazy.
Hey, clip that
That's
chat. Nah, man. He saved himself. He saved himself. I'm gonna let it slide, man. God damn.
yeah, that's wild, crazy. I ain't going. Ooh. I know Mason, all them, like Cameron and Mace on their podcast would have been on backs. It would have been wild.
Boy.
Boy.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yeah. Yo, you that ass, bro? You good? Yo.
Oh, my bad.
No, you good, bro. But yeah, yo, so, you know, with us riding so heavy on AI when it comes to our GDP growth, the biggest bottleneck with GDP we're facing right now, and you see this through all the Microsofts, the Open AIs, the Anthropics, all these big companies that are, big, I guess you could say landmarks in this AI sector. They need more energy. They need more compute. They need more energy specifically to get to this compute. They need a lot more infrastructure, not infrastructure, resources to build out the infrastructure needed to get AI where it can really be, which is essentially a GDP growing deflationary resource to the US. You feel me? Now, if we got higher oil prices, and oil is one of the biggest pieces of energy that the whole world uses, let alone US, how does that now affect the AI tailwind in the market? Because essentially, the companies was already asking for way more energy boost. You feel me? They needed way more energy in the first place, but now instead of adding to it, we're essentially contracting it because of this oil conflict and the Strait of Hormuz being closed. So the reality check is, like, for example, we seen companies like Nvidia growing at 70%. Was it 75, 70%? Wow,
Hmm.
crazy. You feel me? They blowing up the market. They're one of the best company ever so far. $4 trillion market cap. Maybe down the line, people are saying it may be a $10 trillion company. With headlines like this, when it comes to the oil being a factor and Nvidia being the main, I guess you could say, nucleus for this AI run, how do those companies react? How did that stock price react? And how does that affect our pockets and our 401ks and our Roth IRAs and our individual brokerage accounts? For me, so that's another thing to keep in mind, is this is heading back to what Wolf said. It affects everything, bro. And if it prolongs, because I personally, I thought this was gonna be quick and done. We was gonna, bomb them kids respectfully and then get up out of there. But now Trump talk about he won. He said make Iran great again. He's wilding. He want to stay there for a good minute and get it sturdy. And that's where I think the
Tripping.
market could have some points to the downside, because uncertainty comes with war, and market don't like uncertainty. If we're not pricing in that this could last maybe a few months to a year to a couple years, if it happens to be another Iraq scenario, the market's not gonna like that. Feel me? And that could add more constraint to the oil piece and the higher prices that we're talking about. And then, you know, overall, we can see what happens with it, because I don't know, this also midterms are coming up. And one of the big things that Trump has campaigned about throughout his whole time here is fixing affordability, fixing our national debt, um, the immigration thing, which I'm not even gonna get into because some wild, crazy stuff over there, and also the tariff piece. Those are like the four things Trump was focusing on in the campaign. But what has really happened now? Tariffs are going to be gone in maybe 100 days. GDP, I mean, excuse me, not GDP. National debt has gotten way worse under him, especially under the big, beautiful bill. Affordability is now the biggest question across everybody in the country because everybody's saying everything is still expensive. What's going on? On top of that, now we're dealing with war. When the number one thing he was campaigning for was no more war. We're staying out of everybody's politics. But now we're in everybody's politics. So, and this is not like, oh, I hate Trump or nothing like that. This is just the real what's going on. And it puts Trump in a position where now what can he do? What is the only thing he have right now? The stock market. Stock market's been performing very well ever since he came into office. So if that's the only nucleus he has to push forward, it makes me wonder, it's something that we all got to keep in mind for all of our accounts, is what is he willing to do to make sure these stocks and this overall market keeps going up. So that's really the only tailwind I could think of for sure. But as of right now, the AI piece of it, it's a little shaky because again, energy is a constraint now, especially with oil prices rising like this.
Yeah. Nah, bro, you hit the nail on the head, bro. I mean, I definitely the one thing, like you said, the market definitely doesn't like uncertainty. And short term is going to be some pain there. We may see some big volatility like we already saw. We may get a little bit of downturn. And at the same as that time, family, that's healthy for the market because we haven't had a decent correction slash pullback in a while, right? So it gives a lot of people the opportunity to get involved in the market or get a good entry. Now, one thing I want everyone to remember is that historically, right, when it comes to any type of war, after after the market has adjusted to the fact that we're at war with someone else, you do see an uptick in the market. So on average, they say after like 12 months of once the conflict has already happened and it's continuing to go on, you'll see about 11% gain in the market after the fact, right? So if you're an investor, right, just put your investor cap on, not your emotional cap on, right? Let's say there's a buying opportunity right now and you're buying dollar cost averaging. We always preach dollar cost averaging. Just know 12 months or later, you have the opportunity to make at least another 10% gain from where you're entering at, right? So I don't want to say, yo, I'm just this opportunistic person where anytime something bad happens, I'm looking for to make a quick buck. I mean, fam, this is just the reality of it. You know what I'm saying? Either way, if you got a job, your 401k is continuously buying into the market. So no matter what, you already feeding the beast, right? So why not take matters into your own hand and make something from it so that way you can at least have the money right now, you know? So that's just something I want everybody to remember too. Like some people, they hear the word war and they like, yeah, the market ain't never coming back. We're doing a war with this person. Like, fam, it's been a bunch of wars the last 100 years. And on average, we have always gone up after the fact, right? And that's just what I wanted to say for that. Because I feel like sometimes people will take the war out of context. They'll take the short term out of context. And they get scared. And they just run away from everything. And the last thing we want y'all to do is be scared from something that we're telling y'all and you end up not getting to anything, right? So just know there's always some type of light at the end of the tunnel, right? Now, one thing we do want to talk about is what this means for us as the consumer. It's, like we already said, gas prices is up. On average, the gas price is about 3.25 a gallon and could easily push towards $4 a gallon. I haven't saw $4 a gallon in a long time, but if I do see it, I'm gonna be sick,
Mm-hmm.
super sick. And then this also means that diesel is going to be more expensive too. So if you got a truck, if you one of them truckers, I mean, hey, you're spending a pretty penny. So it's getting super expensive out there, right? Now, one thing you also want to do is family is factor in what this to do for your budget. So if you're working your 9 to 5, take an extra $50 to $100 a month for gas and groceries, right? Because just because you see gas prices up doesn't mean you're not going to see your groceries go up too. So be prepared for that. Right now, family, change your whole entire budget up. Put that extra $50 to $100. If you could do more, do more. Just have it there just in case. Because you just never know, right? And then also, if you have those certain expenses that you don't need, trim the fat immediately. Cut the subscriptions, the impulsive spending. You know what I'm saying? That way you can at least absorb the inflation hit without going into high interest credit card debt and using money from your savings or using money that you don't even have. Right? Now, you definitely want to get on that offensive side. Build wealth, build your savings up, have that extra cushion just in case stuff gets even realer than the way it already is, right? And when it comes to, these types of situations, the worst thing you could do is just stop investing. It's the worst thing you could do, right? Historically, any type of geopolitical shots, they'll cause the short-term market drops, like we said. But that is an incredible long-term buying opportunity. You have to continuously invest, no matter what the market is doing. I bet that boy Warren Buffett is probably, he's probably like, boy, I got probably the most money on record ready to buy. That man, Cash Powell, is humongous. And everyone thought he's tripping, like, bro, why do you have so much cash? You need to be investing this. He's like, hey man, I've been doing this for almost I've been doing this for almost 100 years. When Buffett like 98, 99, something crazy. He closer to 100 years of doing this stuff. So you always want to follow the money. If bro has money on the sideline already getting ready to buy stuff, I'm pretty sure he was already like buying oil and like just those big types of companies, Oxy. You need to be doing the same thing. Follow the money. Because family, the money is always going to be right, especially big money. Now, I don't know if you got anything to say about that, bro.
Nah, bro, you hit it on the head, bro. I mean, in the market, historically, if y'all could look this up too, but historically, when your dollar cost averaging, most people's wealth who's been doing that for years was actually made within 10 days of them dollar cost averaging. Now, throughout years, it was made in 10 days, like 70, 65%, something crazy statistic like that was made. So
Mm,
I agree with Wolf 100%. You cannot stop. At least, well, if you have to position yourself, you have to take care of your family, you have to budget correctly. It's understandable. Obviously, you got to prioritize you and yours first. But if you have the extra capital that you've been allocating towards the market and you're still doing it, don't let this news stop you. If anything, maybe double down on it. Certain stocks. Obviously, make sure you do your research on it. Make sure you look at the technicals to see if this is the right time to double down on a stock. Do not stop, if anything. That's the last thing you want to do is stopping this wholly just because you hear this news. Because,
right.
like Wolf said, the big money, the investors, the Warren Buffetts of the world, the Black Rocks, the JP Morgans, they're rubbing their hands like Birdman. They getting ready. They getting ready. They got cash ready to go. So
Facts.
gotta double down, yo. And, you know, to go off of that, just to give y'all a little tidbit, we have three discounted stocks right now that we personally feel could be strong for y'all to take a look into and see if it's worth the investment for like $5 a day, maybe less than that, $3 to pay, depending on your budget. You feel me? For dollar cost averaging. First, we have this one's been on a tear, boys. Starting off on the year, we have Micron Technology, ticker symbol MU. To keep it in simple terms, I'm gonna explain all these companies in simple terms, but MU is essentially the biggest memory play when it comes to AI. Right? 'Cause AI needs multiple things, including compute, energy sources, but more importantly, they need memory in order so you can train these different AI products, these chat GPTs, these Claudes, these Geminis. You need to train on something, and memory is used for that. Micron is the number one for that right now. You feel me? And the biggest thing with Micron is they're actually trading at a very cheap price. They're trading at, I believe it was a 13% forward PE ratio.
Mm,
And that's really good because for y'all that don't know what forward PE ratio is, it's pretty much a math science that explains how much you're paying for $1 of growth in the company. So when I say Micron is growing at a 13x forward PE ratio, that means for every extra dollar Micron makes as a company, I'm paying $13 for that dollar. Now, that may not sound like it makes sense. It'd be like, why the hell would I pay $13 for $1? But that's the growth story behind it. That means you're paying $13 for that $1, but that $1 could turn to $20 in 3 months, depending on how fast a company is growing. And Micron is growing fast because they're the number one distributor when it comes to memory for all memory needs across AI. So that's a relatively cheap play right there to get interested in. Technically, I like it as well on the charts. It just broke through the 50-day moving average on the daily chart, which is meaning that it lost support there, so it could go down further. I wouldn't be mad at entry right now. I would just take a like, $5 per day, $2, $3 per day if you can afford it. And if it keeps going down, that's when you keep scaling that. But
Hmm.
that's one good play because it's a strong company. They're growing fast and they're growing faster than what they're charging right
Hmm. Yeah, the memory plays family that's super slept on. One of the plays that one of my peoples had hit on was SanDisk.
now.
Remember that one, bro?
Yeah, bro. It was a
Bro had a leap on
SDSK.
SanDisk. Yep. Oh my God. I mean, that run family is probably one of the craziest runs I saw in a company I didn't think nothing of. You know what I'm saying? But it was just one of those ones where you just did the downline trading. You saw that AI was booming. All right, what does AI depend on? And that's kind of how that play came into effect. And you can have the same exact strategy when you're looking at anything, but the memory for AI is a huge, huge play right now. Yeah, but that MU
Exactly.
is it's a nice play. The chart looks great on that 50-day moving average on the year chart. It's a good one to buy right now, at least dollar cost average too.
Absolutely, bro. And what you said is facts, bro. Because Sanders is taking a little pullback right now as well. MU took a little pullback, but that's because of this oil stuff and the Iran stuff going on. So this is the opportunities that Wolf was just talking about. You feel me? So we want to capitalize on these if we can. Speaking of opportunities, Microsoft. We've been talking about Microsoft for a good minute now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we all know Microsoft, but if y'all want some further context, Microsoft is essentially a big software company that's damn near in everything. They created Outlook. They have oh my god, they're in everything. We all know Microsoft, okay? A company that's not going anywhere. And they recently actually touched down on their 200-day moving average on the 3-year 1 week chart, and they bounced off of it. Now keep in mind the last time they did that was on Liberation Day of last year. And they were at $346 on that day. And they ran all the way back up to $555. Just straight up.
Ooh-wee.
So this is just one of the easiest buys I think of our generation. When you think of Microsoft, you think of how well ran that company is. Been around since forever. When Bill Gates first started it up, and how they're able to adapt to every different scenario. Either it's creating the computer, the softwares they created for the computer. Now it's the AI piece where they're using things like Copilot. They have Azure, which is the cloud software that's still growing. And they're down 15% after smacking the hell out of earnings. They had a great earnings. It's just right now, it's CapEx. And for y'all that don't know what CapEx is pretty much when a company is investing, using their cash flow to invest back into their own self. So Microsoft is putting up hundreds of billions of dollars to invest into AI. And that's because AI has been generating a lot more money. But the market just doesn't like that because there's a fear around AI and how that's going to affect the job market or if it's even real. People start questioning if it's real, even though, in my opinion, there's a lot of examples of it being real. So that's the only reason why they pitched down. And speaking of forward PE ratios, what we talked about with MU, they're trading 22 times forward PE, meaning for every dollar of growth, you're paying $22. For a company like Microsoft, that's crazy. That doesn't make sense. So It's a software giant on sale, y'all. That's one of the easiest buys of 2026, in my opinion. Just set and forget on that one. Then your Roth IRA, 401k, however you would like to.
Yeah, OD. And if you're a seasoned trader, definitely look at some of those swings, the leaps. I mean, that's probably the easiest money you can make, family. Obviously, I always say do not go all in on these plays. If you got 25% that you can allocate to this play of at least 100% of what you're willing to risk, do it in portions. Use 4 portions. You got $100, $25 go on the first one. All right, I see it a little, another dip. Put another $25. I'm gonna be real patient. It dips even more. Put another $25. Now you just wait until the last second. You see some life. You see this probably start to go up. Put your last $25 in there. Now you got your whole $100 in, and you're ready to, take the ride on up with this play. So be careful out there, obviously. But Microsoft is an easy, no-brainer Match 7 company that everyone wants to get into, but it's just super expensive. And this is just one of those buying opportunities that it's really hard to pass up.
Absolutely, bro. Lastly, I think this one right here is the one that is the hardest to pass up out of the whole market. NVIDIA, ticker symbol NVDA, man. Y'all who are into technicals and looking at charts, y'all may look at the technicals and be like, D-Wall, what is you talking about? Right now, it's sitting on the 200-day moving average on the daily chart and sitting in between the 250-day moving average. I mean, the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average. So y'all may think, D-Wall, what are you talking about? And I get that. If I'm a technical guy and I'm just looking at the technicals, I'm personally maybe waiting for NVIDIA to get, I would say, below 177 or below 185 to consider an entry on it. But when y'all look at the numbers and how they're growing compared to their forward earnings, y'all, this company made $68 billion last quarter in Q1, right? Q1 of 2026. They're projecting forward revenue to be in quarter two almost $80 billion. Their gross margins is 75%. That means out of the $80 billion they're projecting to make, oh, that's too many zeros. I don't know. ChatGPT that one, y'all, because that's ridiculous. Are you serious? And on top of that,
OD.
bro, OD, and they're growing as a company at 70%. And keep in mind, this ain't a mid cap. This ain't a small cap company that's under $1 billion market cap. This is
Right.
a $4 trillion company growing at 70%. And it's trading at 22 times forward PE. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So for every dollar of growth, you're paying $22 for NVIDIA. That's growing at 70%. The math is mathing, yo.
Yeah,
There's
that's low.
times it's low, man. And I get the technicals, yo. I get it. And there's times where you just gotta be smart. Or technicals out the window. Numbers wise, I don't see how NVIDIA is not a buy. And you dollar
Mm-hmm.
cost average, maybe not super heavy, but you definitely buy. If it's growing this much at this cheap of a rate, the cat's got to come out the bag eventually. And when it does, it's going to be crazy. I mean, I haven't looked at the analysts like price targets for the stock, but I'm sure they're in the 250 range at
Yep,
least.
it is. Yep.
Something like that. It's that 177 right now, y'all. So, hey, this is something for you, your partner, your kids, your grandkids, your auntie, your uncle, your dog, whatever. You could buy this, set and forget for a good amount of time because the disrespect is getting is outrageous. And it's not just us thinking that. Remember, NVIDIA makes up 9% of the SPY, which is the number one ETF in the world that holds the top 500 companies in the US. It makes up damn near 10% of that. So we're not just saying that. The big guys who run your 401ks are saying that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, that's
Which means
yeah.
everyone is investing into it every day.
Mm-hmm. Everyone, everyone, literally.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just one of those ones where we talked about this before. You have to play the player. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times you may see something happen and you're like, yo, this is definitely a sell on the market, but you'll see the market go up. And then you're like, why would the market go off for that news? It's negative. But at the same as that time, you don't know how an investor perceived that or how a different corporation benefit from that. So at the end of the day, something that may seem clear may not be always the case. You have to play the player no matter what. Earnings, Nvidia had a freaking blowout earnings, right? We all saw the numbers. The numbers was crazy, like bro just said. And it still dumped. Some people are like, why would it dump? But it's because everyone is afraid of AI right now. Everyone's running away from it because they're trying to go to safety. But at the same exact time, this is a gift. This is a gift from the stock gods themselves. Thank you. Like,
Mm.
buy NVIDIA. Hold it. Don't think about it. Get some help.
Yes.
Like, fam,
Bro.
I don't care what you gotta do, fam. If you gotta stop buying a coffee every day from Starbucks, if you gotta stop buying some gas from Curaleaf, if you gotta stop buying the bottles from the liquor store at the corner, stop it. Get some help.
Get some help. Yo, shout out to
Put it in the
Curly.
video.
They got some great Zaw over there, but I'm with Wolf. Give it up, man. This is crazy.
Bro, give it up, family. Put a little bit aside. We're talking $5 a day. You know what I'm saying? You got it. If you're doing any of those things, you got the $5 a day. Throw it in a little Robinhood. Forget about it. A year from now, you'll be like, yo, I appreciate y'all, yo, for real. Nah, it's
Facts.
a huge buying opportunity, family. We saw what happened. Liberation Day. We jumped into the video like there's nothing. We didn't think twice about it. We saw the video go in the 90. We like, oh, it's lit. And now look at the stock. You know?
Went from $86 to $212. And it's still cheap.
Crazy.
12 was still cheap.
Still cheap, bro. We up over 100% on the play, family. And we didn't think not twice about it on one of the worst days possible that everyone thought the market wasn't coming back from. You get what I'm saying? So do not let any type of fear run you out of the market. We look at it as like, yo, this is a huge opportunity. We're straight up sharks in the water. So take this opportunity, listen to what we're saying, buy it if you can, buy it and forget, man.
I add one more thing too, bro. Just to super reiterate to y'all, the earnings that we just talked about with NVIDIA, this is all without selling to China, a whole other country that wants their
A huge
chips
country.
bad.
Right.
Huge country. So imagine once this China stuff gets situated. Oh my God. But yes,
It's over.
yes.
Yeah. Nah, it's a fact, bro. It's so much upside for the company. I mean, it's wild, bro. But same as that time, family. Y'all let us know if y'all got any questions. If y'all got any other plays, throw them in the chat. Hit us up. Definitely let us know because it's a bunch of plays out there. But these are some of the best ones that we thought y'all could look into. Obviously, it's not financial advice, so please do your own research on that, right? But yeah, fam. Whew, I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on in the market. You gotta be safe out there. You gotta be careful, but you definitely gotta be a shark in the water, family. Because this oil stuff is a temporary shock. And we already know AI is a long-term move, and the strategy always is just to be disciplined, right?
Be disciplined. Stay down. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay down till you come up. And let us know in the comments, man. What y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Y'all buying the dip? Y'all dollar cost averaging? Or y'all holding cash? Y'all waiting for the big dip to happen and then just put your mortgage up? Let us know what it is. And as always, man, like, share, subscribe, and let us know if you got any questions in the comments or join our Discord where you can talk to us one on one. You can get our plays way before anybody else.
Hey, man, appreciate you, fam. Join us on this Sunday. Look like we lost an hour this morning, so it's supposed to
Nonsense.
be 1:15. It's 2:15 now, so we're about to enjoy our day. It's been cold outside. It's like 60 right now. So, fam, enjoy your day today, man. We always working, busy. Enjoy your day, my brother.
Absolutely. Vice versa, broski. Y'all take it easy.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Yes, sir.